Hello, welcome to Legal Insights, a YouTube series where we're going to talk a little bit more about what is legally possible with the mobility budget and even broader than that. Today we're talking about, is the amount of the mobility budget set in stone? So in other words, can we increase the legal mobility budget or not? Let's have a look at the situations where we can increase and decrease the mobility budget. At first, you can increase and decrease the mobility budget of an employee when he or she has a promotion or a demotion. That can be linked with a change of function category, but it can also be linked with a job change. Besides that, you can also indexate the mobility budget for all your employees. You as employer, you can decide when that's going to be happening and also the size of the index. But the size you need to take into account that it cannot be higher than the sectoral wage index. So you always need to check that first before you can indexate it, because it cannot be higher than the sectoral wage index. Besides that, like I said, it's for all employees. You need to apply it for all mobility budget, the indexation. You cannot exclude someone from the indexation. Also, put the indexation method always in your mobility policy so it's transparent for all employees. Besides, that's also a change of regime. That depends on the car policy. If the car policy says, an employee that is going to be working half time or part time doesn't get a full car, they need to pay an own contribution then at that moment. Then also the mobility budget will be lower than someone that is working full time. By example, if someone is going to work part-time, they need to pay an own contribution. Well, the mobility budget will also be diminished with the amount of the own contribution, because then that is not a cost anymore of the employer. So those three are the cases of when we can increase or decrease the mobility budget. If we have a short little more overview of the indexation, what you need to do. So first for all, always search your latest indexation of your paritaire comité. For the paritaire comité 200, it was 11.08%. You can find that on the websites of the social secretaries. Then you can choose the indexation amount, so it cannot be higher than that amount. You can say, okay, we're going to take 50% of that amount, so we're going to increase our mobility budgets with 5.54%. And then you apply that for everyone, the indexation. So if someone has a mobility budget of 800 euros per month, in the next year, it will be, by example, with the 50% in this example, 844.32. So you can indexate it. The indexation must be lower than your sectoral wage index. So you can indexate it once per sectoral wage index, your mobility budget. So that's what you want to do when you want to indexate it, and of course communicate it with you through your policy. That's then the situations where you cannot increase or decrease the mobility budget. First, the policy adjustments. So if you're going to adjust your policy, your TCOs, this will have no impact for the employees that already have a mobility budget. So that won't change anything. You can change your policy and TCOs. That will have an impact for new employees that are entering the system, but not for the current employees. Then we're also moving a relocation. So the moving of a relocation of the workplace or of the moving of the residence of the employee won't affect the budget. It will only affect the possibility to use your mobility budget for the housing expenses. The only thing, if the workplace, of course, no longer located anymore in Belgium, then also the mobility budget won't be available anymore because it's a Belgian law. Then some three examples to have a quick overview. So in the first example, an employee is changing from job within the company. Then indeed the mobility budget can be adapted. He or she can have a job with a higher or a lower mobility budget linked with it. So we can change that. For new employees join the company, they want to have the mobility budget. Also here we can adapt the mobility budget. We can adapt our mobility budgets and our TCOs for those new employees, but not for the current employees. And at last, an employee moves from Charleroi to Brussels. This won't have any impact on the mobility budget of that employee. Voila, this was this part of Legal Insights. I hope this was clear. If it was not, you can always ask more questions through our website, and I will hear and see you maybe later.